clean, that is perfect, that is excellent. And why should he back his promise up to you in your midst? You are the one that has to step out of where you are and take the courage to shed everything. He's not asking you to perfect yourself before you make the move. He's asking you to make the move, to stand up and make the decision, to just take one step. Because when you begin to take the step, he'll fall in place beside you and lead you the rest of the way.
All right.
But you are determined to back the promise up. Hear me and hear me good. The promises of God will never fit in your finite mind. God will blow your mind trying to make his promises fit into where you are now. You're going to have to step forward. You're going to have to trust God. Because the thing about Rebecca is when she got to the promise, she trusted God. The Word of God says in the 91st Psalm that he has given his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against the stone. Same position Rebecca was in, with the servant leading her. But it says when she got to the promise, she saw the promise coming far off in the field. And she said, "Who's that?" He said, "Oh, that's my master's son." So she jumped off. And she said, "Oh, I got it from him." You hold up, dude. I got this from him. I'm going to the promise. I finally got enough courage here. You might have had to ride me and lead me and my little maid servants. And you cannot tell me. You see, the reason we have to be very careful and choose who's going to hang with us is because I guarantee you somewhere along the road her maid said, "Mrs., exactly where we go? I'm out here with you, but exactly where we going?" You know, she said, "All I know is I'm going to my promise. Tell me there's this good-looking rich old man over here and this young man over here, and he's good-looking and he's rich, and yeah. What if her servant had turned back on her and said to her, "I'm not going"? Sometimes you're going to have to risk somebody running with you saying, "I'm not going."
That's it.
And you got to be able to take that risk. Because if you don't take that risk, then what are you really out there on? Are you out there on their faith or are you out there on yours? We must make choices. And it says when she got to him, after the servant explained what was happening, he took her into his mother's tent. And he took her, and she became his wife. I'm going to work with that point there because you got two things happening right now. There's the intimacy of the promise. When you and the promise get together, you become one. That means you are now a part of the whole picture of the promise. And there's no way you can be separated from the promise. But you also have another thing happening. That if you're hooked up to the wrong thing and you become intimate with the wrong thing, you've joined yourself to it, and certainly you have encouraged death to come into the midst of your life. Because when you become intimate with something that God does not design for you, there's no such thing, and I need y'all to hear me, as sampling the goods. You sample the goods, you're in stone trouble. Because whatever madness is on the goods is transferring to you. That's why you must make absolutely certain that this is the promise of God. Because once you merge with that thing, the two of you are one. And the thing about the promise is, when you get to the promise, you are absolutely the thing that takes the promise into place. Why is it that Abraham was the father of nations and not Sarah? Sarah was never called the mother of the nations. Number one, she tried to help God out. Number two, she lied and laughed in disbelief. So she blew her opportunity. How many times have you lied and laughed at God in disbelief? How many times have you tried to help God out? But because of Rebekah's faith of taking a chance, Rebekah became the mother of nations. We going around saying, what's for you is for you, and can't nobody have it but you. I come to tell you a big lie. God gonna get tired. He said, must I strive with man always? So you keep turning them down if you want, and think that there won't be somebody like me who gonna come along and say, no, I'm willing to risk it. And because I'm willing to risk it, and I know what this calls for, I'll take theirs too. See, some folks, the reason we limit God is because we only try to get. No. If there's some blessings out there that call for some trials and some tribulations, and folk don't want to get it because it's a little too much work, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to back my tractor trailer up to it. I'm going to say, God, give me the gas to ride, because I'm going to get this one. I heard Jesse Duplantis say God showed him heaven. And there were all these boxes, gift wrapped. And he asked, what are those? He said, oh, those are all the blessings nobody ever collected. I said, oh, no. Hold up. But it costs you to make a decision. You can't be with God today and not with God tomorrow. You can't be upset with God because God didn't give you what you wanted, when you wanted, how you wanted it. That's right. This is not Burger King. He said, choose ye this day. I place before you curses and blessings, life and death. Choose ye this day. But he gave you a clue. He said he would prefer that you choose. And the thing about us in choosing life is that while we may be saying we're choosing life, our actions dictate that we're choosing death. We say we love God, but we don't pray. We say we love God, but we don't worship. We say we love God, but we don't praise. We say we love God, and he asks us to witness to somebody, and we choose not to. He asks us to follow him down a path, and we say, I'm too old. I can't do that no more. I'm too old. I saw a ministry lost because God asked them to shut in, and they said couldn't do it. And when they told God couldn't do it, such accusations came down the pipeline, all based on the weekend that God asked them to shut it. And now there's no way they can go back and remove the stigma, all because they chose death. When do we become too old to follow God? When do we become so know-it-all in the Word that we don't have to look in the Word to see what the Word of God says? We
He will uphold me.
He said, yeah, but you're in the wilderness.